We begin tonight with the news that broke again today, a deadly school shooting. This time, police say a student on his 16th birthday opening fire on fellow students in Santa Clarita, California, north of Los Angeles. At least 2 dead tonight. Authorities say the teen gunman opened fire at Saugus High School during what's called zero period, about an hour before classes began. After barricading themselves inside, students were then brought out in long lines led by heavily armed police. The suspect, who police say shot himself, is now in custody, and news tonight on the students who did not survive.
It was just before 8 a.m. this morning at this school north of Los Angeles when police say the teen walked up carrying a backpack and opened fire. Dozens of cruisers and SWAT teams racing to the Saugus High School in Santa Clarita.
Ongoing anti-corruption protests in Iraq pose a risk of destabilizing the country yet again amid lingering threats by Iran and local terror groups. This, in turn, may jeopardize U.S. interests in the country. One America's Christian Rose explains.
The U.S. appears to be facing a new threat to its national security, brewing this time and yet again in Iraq. Over the past few weeks, Iraqi security forces killed more than 300 protesters with explicit approval from Iran's Ayatollah regime, as the demonstrators denounced corruption and a rising Iranian influence in their country. This latest round of instability may challenge U.S. interests in Iraq.
Our efforts to help displaced Iraqis help facilitate the safe and voluntary return of more than 4.3 million civilians since April of 2015.
Qantas has scored another big tick for its non-stop flight testing, with a direct flight from London touching down in Sydney this afternoon. And it was a big tick from the passengers as well. The guinea pigs on board saying they would do it again.
After 19 hours, 19 minutes, QF Flight 7879, direct from London, touched down in Sydney today. The aircraft landed 98 tonnes lighter than when it took off. That's the fuel it burned. It's Qantas' second flight direct from London. It did it first 30 years ago. Today, the son of that chief pilot is a Qantas pilot himself.
After he finished the flight, he said, "We expect to be doing this in 10 years' time." It's taken a bit longer than that.
One of the sticking points to making these flights commercial is to get regulators' approval to let pilots fly such long hauls.
Investigating concerns about the safety of Lasik eye surgery, already performed on an estimated 20 million Americans. Lasik has been popular for more than 20 years as a way to correct nearsightedness and improve distance vision, but some patients say the surgery has ruined their eyesight. Dr. Tara Narula is here with the possible risks and a push to have government approval for Lasik overturned. Tara, how does the procedure work?
Good morning, Anthony. So LASIK is laser-guided surgery, advertised as a way for people to fix their vision and shed glasses and contact lenses. The quick, minimally invasive surgery uses a laser to cut a flap to reshape the cornea at the front of the eye. While surveys show high patient satisfaction, those who have had bad experiences report painful, life-changing complications.
Now to the other scare playing out today. The community on lockdown after a sighting amid the intense manhunt for a U.S. Marine wanted for murder in Virginia. His RV recovered. They believe the suspect may now be on foot tonight. ABC's Adrian Bankert from Roanoke.
Investigators searching for a suspected murderer, Michael Alexander Brown, today, finding his RV, opening up the walls of the vehicle to secure the scene and look for clues.
Mr. Brown has not been located. We do believe that he is on foot.
City schools in Roanoke, Virginia closed after a report that Brown was seen in the area, first spotted overnight knocking on his grandmother's door for hours, later reported walking in the neighborhood this afternoon.
He could be just walking around and no one would even notice.
Residents urged to shelter in place.
Facebook is under fire yet again, this time for invading its members' privacy. It turns out that the social media giant could have been sneakily using your iPhone's camera while using the Facebook app. At least that's the case if you are using it on your iPhone.
iPhone users, beware. It appears that a system bug is allowing Facebook to access users' iPhone cameras while they're using the Facebook app, scrolling through their feed. Facebook users took to Twitter, saying that their phone cameras were activated automatically whenever they were using the Facebook app. Facebook confirmed the bug in the latest version of the iOS app. The company said in a statement, "We recently discovered that version 244 of the Facebook iOS app would incorrectly launch in landscape mode. In fixing that issue last week in V246, launched on November 8th, we inadvertently introduced a bug that caused the app to partially navigate to the camera screen adjacent to newsfeed when users tapped on photos."
The public service unions fed up. Today it called a meeting of corrections officers at Yatala as the jailhouse shocks dangerously escalated with a guard rushed to hospital.
Members whose job is dangerous enough as it is, we don't want them being subjected to the risks of electric shock.
Smoking bans started in July. Ever since, inmates have defied the rules by making crude cigarettes. They use the contents of tea bags and nicotine patches to make rollies. To light them, they use rolled up tin foil from meal wrapping, jammed into live power sockets to create a spark and an eventual flame. But the foil left behind causes a 240-volt shock if anyone touches it.
A clean-up operation ahead of the festive season to root out identified suspects and already some successes.
As you can see that there are illegal firearms going around in our province. This morning already we arrested 2 suspects, of which one of them was arrested with 2 firearms, even if they are toy guns, but they resemble a real firearm. They can be used in robberies. This morning we already started with operation, of which 247 wanted suspects were arrested in the province.
While the National Union of Mine Workers is expected to host its first rally in Marikana since the August 2012 massacre on Sunday, police say their presence in the area is not at all related to the NUM's mega rally.
And another big announcement from North Korea this morning. The North says it has sent a final notice to South Korea that it will demolish Seoul's facilities at the Mount Geumgang resort if South Korea doesn't do so itself. This was the regime's response to Seoul's suggestion last week that it send a team to first take stock of the situation.
An ultimatum from North Korea. Pyongyang state-run Korean Central News Agency says the regime sent a final notice to South Korea this Monday that it'll go ahead and unilaterally tear down South Korean facilities at the Mount Geumgang resort if Seoul doesn't do it. The North says South Korea doesn't seem to understand its demand and keeps on mentioning other options like a creative approach, working-level talks, and an investigation team visit to the North.